A glass of wine after a long day, a Valium before a stressful fight, a sleeping pill at midnight. Three completely different things. One's a drink, one's an anxiety pill, one's a sleeping aid. Different shelves, different labels, different reputations. But here's the secret almost nobody tells you. Deep inside your brain, all three are reaching for the same exact lever, the same microscopic switch. And once you see what the switch does, you will understand calm, sleep, anxiety, and why mixing some of these can quietly stop you from breathing. Let's find the switch. Welcome to Molecule Society. Your brain is roughly 86 billion neurons, all chattering in tiny electrical pulses every second of your life. And a brain that could only ever speed up would be a disaster. Runaway electrical activity is quite literally what a seizure is. So your brain needs a break. Something that says, slow down, quiet down, not so fast. That break has a name, GABA, short for gamma aminobutyric acids. For the full mouthful, it's the brain's main calming or inhibitory messenger. And the thing GABA presses to calm a neuron is a structure called the GABA A receptor. The receptor is our switch. Everything today comes back to it. To see why the break matters, picture one neuron. It fires when it gets excited enough, when enough positive charges floods in and pushes it past a tipping point. Then it sends a signal onward. Chemical like glutamate are the accelerator. They push neurons towards firing. But imagine a brain with only accelerators, every signal triggering more signals, louder and louder, feeding back on itself with nothing to stop it. That runaway storm is what happens in a seizure. So for every go, there has to be a slow down signal, keeping the whole network in balance. That's GABA's job. Here, the idea worth holding on to. Calm isn't the absence of activity, it's activity held in check. And the way GABA holds it in check is wonderfully physical. It doesn't whisper a message, it opens the door. Here's the door. The GABA receptor sits in the membrane of a neuron, built like a tiny gate wrapped around a central pore, a channel right through the cell wall. When a GABA molecule drifts up and clicks onto its slot on a receptor, the gate changes shapes, pore opens, and what flows through that open pore is chloride, negatively charged particles rushing into the neurons. Now, why does that calm things down? Remember, a neuron fires when it gets positive enough to cross its threshold. Pour negative into it, and you push it the other way, further from firing. You raise the bar. The neuron becomes harder to set off. That's the entire mechanism. GABA opens chloride gates, the neuron quiets, and multiply that across billions of neurons, and you get a brain that's celled instead of racing. GABA presses the brake physically, one channel at a time. Now, back to our wine, our Valium, and our sleeping pill. Here's the clever part, and the answer to the mystery. None of them are GABA. None of them open the gate on their own. Instead, each one grabs a different spot on the same GABA receptor and turns GABA's volume up. Take benzodiazepine, Valium, Xanax. It binds its own special site on the receptor and makes the receptor respond more strongly every time real GABA shows up. Same GABA, bigger effect. The brake gets more sensitive. Scientists call this a positive allosteric modulator, which just means it doesn't press the pedal itself, it just makes the pedal easier to press. Alcohol is messier. It touches several targets, but a big part of how it loosens you up is boosting the very same GABA system. And Z drugs, like the sleeping pill, latch onto a particular flavor of the same receptor, which is exactly why they tip you into sleep. So the mystery dissolves three molecule, three sites, one receptor, all of them turning up the brain's brake. That's why they all leave you calm, drowsy, less anxious. They're playing the same instruments. But this is where it turns serious, and this is the part generally worth understanding. If all the substances press the same brake, what happens when you use more than one at once? The brakes stack. Alcohol plus a benzodiazepine doesn't simply add up, it multiplies. Press the brain's brake hard enough and you don't just get calm or sleepy. You start slowing the circuit that keeps you breathing. The combination, the presence together, is the mechanism behind the huge share of accidental overdose. Here's the second catch. Lean on that brake every day, and the brain adapts, quietly turns down its own receptor to compensate. That's tolerance. You need more for the same effect. And if someone who becomes dependent stops abruptly, the brake suddenly vanishes while the accelerator is still forward. That's why withdrawal from alcohol or from benzodiazepine can still trigger seizures and is one of the few withdrawals that can actually be life threatening. It should be done with medical help, never cold turkey alone. This isn't here to scare you, it's the practical reasons why doctors are cautious with these drugs, why you should be too. So step back and look what we have found. Beneath wine, anxiety pills, and sleeping tablets, beneath a lot of what we simply call relaxing, sits one elegant piece of machinery, a gate that lets a trickle of negative charge into cell and quiets it down. Your calm, your sleep, the edge coming off your anxiety. A great deal of it runs through that single receptor. And notice the pattern from last time. The drug does not conjure calm out of nowhere. The calm was always built into you. GABA is pressing that brake every second of your life. These molecules just lean onto a system you already had. The intelligence isn't the drug, it's in the receptor.